Tonight, Westminster waits as the King outlines the government's plans for the coming year. Uncertainty hangs over who'll be in charge of delivering them. Keir Starmer could face a leadership challenge as soon as tomorrow, as Wes Streeting's allies say they expect him to resign from Cabinet.
The Prime Minister's authority is irretrievably ebbing away. I think the only appropriate action is for him to set out an expedient timetable to change leadership of our party and of our country.
Also on the programme is Tonight the Night.
Quietly confident, but that might be the 3 beers talking.
Very nervous. Very nervous. It's the hearts we're dealing with.
I don't think I've had a full night's sleep in 2 weeks.
Hearts aflutter. The league leaders could seal the title tonight.
Coming up in tonight's sport, I'll be live from Tynecastle, where Hearts could become champions for the first time in 66 years. But Celtic might have something to say about that. And we speak to Andy Murray about football, golf and his newfound skill, peeling potatoes. I'm Laura Goodwin, this is Reporting Scotland. It's less than a week since Labour suffered significant election losses across Britain, renewing questions about Keir Starmer's leadership. Now it seems his own Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, is preparing to challenge him for the top job in politics. The pair met this morning before the King's speech, after which the Prime Minister said he had full confidence in Mr Streeting. It's far from clear if the feeling is mutual. From Westminster, here's our political editor, Glenn Campbell.
From a gilded carriage, the King, to set out the lawmaking plans of his government under the now tarnished leadership of Sir Keir Starmer.
Not now, Andy!
An apparent reference to potential leadership contender Andy Burnham, because the Prime Minister's position is under threat. Not from Kemi Badenoch and the Conservatives, but from critics within his own party.
The Prime Minister's authority is irretrievably ebbing away, and in that scenario, for the sake of the country, at this perilous time, I think the only appropriate action is for him to set out an expedient timetable to change leadership of our party and of our country.
The Health Secretary for England, Wes Streeting, had a short meeting with the PM this morning, but any formal leadership challenge has yet to come, and to force all Labour MPs to take sides.
Do you want the job or not?
Well, as a member of the Cabinet, I'm supporting the Prime Minister. It's for others to make their judgments. But frankly, the process has not been triggered for all of the undoubted pain, sadness and concern that's been expressed in this place in recent days against the backdrop of what were clearly very difficult elections for us last week.
Labour infighting after those results is a gift to their political opponents.
The government isn't fit to govern, and it never was. It wasn't ushered in on a Labour manifesto. The government were ushered in because they weren't the Tories, and that's a Westminster crisis that Scotland will be well short of.
All of that takes the sheen off the substance of the King's speech.
My ministers will therefore introduce an energy independence bill to scale up homegrown renewable energy and protect living standards for the long term.
A big emphasis on energy security, economic security and stronger defence, plus a renewed commitment to maintaining political ties between Scotland, England, Wales and Northern Ireland.
My government is committed to the strength and integrity of the Union of the United Kingdom and will continue to work closely with the devolved governments to deliver for citizens across the whole of the nation.
Pledges and plans announced by the King without him knowing if his current Prime Minister will be around long enough to put them in place. Glenn Campbell, Reporting Scotland, Westminster.
Well, we're joined now by our Westminster correspondent, Paris Gertsianis. And Paris, a King's speech overshadowed by internal politics in the Labour Party.
Absolutely, Laura. Normally the King's Speech is one of the big days in the parliamentary calendar, but today the pomp and ceremony was eclipsed by a brisk meeting over coffee. Clearly there wasn't time for Keir Starmer and Wes Streeting to reach any kind of accommodation in just 16 minutes, and so Wes Streeting is expected to resign and trigger a leadership contest as soon as tomorrow if he has the 81 nominations that he needs. At least that's what his allies are telling us. Tonight the Prime Minister and his allies are working the tea room in the building behind me, speaking to MPs, and he's let it be known that he will stand and fight against any leadership challenge.
So everything very much hinges on whether Wes Streeting breaks cover tomorrow.
Indeed, but there's huge risk for the Health Secretary here too if he's misjudged his level of support. And he also doesn't want to be seen as disloyal by being the first one to trigger a contest. Of course, Streeting isn't the only one weighing up his options tonight. You might not have heard of the Defence Minister, Al Cairns. He's Scottish, born and raised in Aberdeen, but represents a seat in Birmingham. He's a Royal Marine Commando veteran of the conflict in Afghanistan, but was only elected an MP in 2024. His allies tell me that if Streeting stands, they expect Cairns to as well. And the list goes on. Andy Burnham will be hoping that the timetable for any contest allows him to find a seat at Westminster. If it doesn't, could Angela Rayner or Ed Miliband stand to represent the left of the Labour Party? A lot of people with a lot of pondering to do tonight.
OK, Paris, many thanks indeed. Well, all of this is sure to be up for discussion in tonight's debate night. Here's Stephen Jardine to tell us more.
Thank you. Debate night is in Haddington in East Lothian tonight for the very first time. Our studio audience here will put their questions to Paul McLennan from the SNP, Catherine Sangster from Scottish Labour, Kim Schmullian from Reform UK Scotland, Douglas Lumsden from the Scottish Conservatives, and the former UK Journalist of the Year, Isabel Hardman from The Spectator. That's debate night with me at 9 on the BBC Scotland channel or after the football on BBC One Scotland.
Now, Hearts could make history tonight by becoming the first non-Old Firm team to lift the league title since Aberdeen in 1985. The Gorgie club haven't finished top of the table since 1960. They're just 1 point ahead of second-place Celtic with 2 games to go. Tonight they face Falkirk and Celtic travel to Motherwell. Well, our sports news correspondent Chris McLaughlin is at Tynecastle for us tonight. Chris, it's hard to understate just how big a deal this is.
Yeah, it's pretty miserable here in Gorgie right now, but it is a huge night for Hearts, a huge night for Scottish football. In a season where this club has dominated, they are within touching distance of a prize that has eluded so many outside of the Old Firm for so long. Is tonight the night? All the normal build-up to a game that is anything but normal. Tonight, if Hearts win and Celtic lose in Motherwell, the league trophy will be lifted here.
Very nervous, very nervous. It's the Hearts we're dealing with.
I don't think I've had a full night's sleep in 2 weeks, so I'm glad that today's finally here.
A little bit nervous, particularly because I don't have a ticket and I've come all the way from Exeter.
40 years ago, Hearts were 8 minutes from the title. 0-0 against Dundee, they just needed a draw. But
swinging very dangerously, there's a goal! Looking slightly ragged, there's a great chance, they've done it! 2-0, a brilliant goal by Kit.
Grown men in tears, a painful chapter in the history of Hearts. And this is the man who was commentating that day, a day he'll never forget. A man who knows the importance of victory this time. Do you think if Hearts go on to win the league, it will exorcise the ghost of '86 for those fans who were in tears?
You know something? I think it will. I really do think it will. I think if they won on this occasion and came through it, given they simply were not expected to get to this position, to get to this last stage, yes, I think it'll be so therapeutic that will be forgotten in the past.
Incredibly, Hearts have led the way in the league since October, something unheard of in recent years in a country dominated by Celtic and Rangers.
fact that we have, as I say, we're mixing it with teams who have got way more advantages than us. You know, you see the spend of Rangers, you see the quality of Celtic and the spend that they've got putting their squads together. And for us to be above both at this stage of the season takes a lot of doing, and we're pleased with that. We just need to try and keep it going.
Few things stir passions in Scotland like football. Here in the capital tonight, another key chapter in the history of our game could be written.
Now, some of the day's other stories now. 3 men have been jailed after a spate of firebomb attacks during a gangland feud. Marshall O'Hara, Fraser Stewart and Aidan McLaughlin targeted houses and a carpet firm linked to the Daniel crime family. They were arrested as part of Operation Portaledge, the police probe set up in response to the outbreak of gang violence across Scotland's Central Belt. During sentencing at the High Court in Glasgow, Judge Lord Mulholland called the crimes sheer naked gangsterism. A woman was robbed of her car at knife point in Edinburgh yesterday afternoon. The 22-year-old driver was parking her white Peugeot 208 outside a shop in Wester Hales. 2 men approached the vehicle and demanded she hand over the keys. They're described as white and were wearing tracksuits. One had on a baseball cap, the other a balaclava. Police are asking anyone who witnessed the incident at the Scotmid on Morvenside Close to come forward. And while we've been on air, the kirking of Parliament has been happening at St Giles Cathedral. The blessing ceremony is being attended by His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh. He's been joined by incoming MSPs, the presiding officer, representatives from faith communities, among others, at the kirking for the 7th session of the Scottish Parliament. An expert in hospital safety says Glasgow's flagship hospital should be fully risk assessed to ensure it's safe for all patients. Andrew Poplett, who carried out reviews for the Scottish Hospitals Inquiry, told BBC Scotland News it is incredibly difficult to say whether the hospital is safe or unsafe for every patient group. The Health Board admit contaminated water probably did cause infections in some patients, but say the hospital is now wholly safe. Politicians and families say they want to see evidence to back this up. Our health correspondent Lisa Summers reports.
We just blindly walk into that hospital believing that it's safe and thinking that we've got no choice. But actually,
Beth Armstrong and her sister Sandy are not convinced the Queen Elizabeth is safe. Their mum Gail died there in 2019 while being treated for cancer. She contracted a cryptococcus infection linked to pigeon droppings.
Our mother died in a general ward which houses leukemia patients, lymphoma patients and renal transplant patients. These people are really, really vulnerable to infection.
NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde say millions of pounds have been spent on maintenance and upgrades since issues with the water and ventilation came to light. They say the whole hospital is now safe. Some families and experts want to see more evidence.
I think that every single ward in the hospital needs to be risk assessed and needs to be risk assessed accurately.
Andrew Poplett is a safety expert to assess the hospital for the public inquiry. He agrees.
I think the risk assessment of the whole facility is still an issue that needs to be addressed.
He says improvements have been made in some areas with very vulnerable patients, but questions remain about the rest of the building. Do you think the hospital is safe?
It's incredibly difficult to give a black and white safe, unsafe answer. Is it an unsafe building? No, depending upon what it's used for. So it's not necessarily a safe building for every patient group that's being cared for.
Questions continue over safety at the hospital. 2 rooms in the National Bone Marrow Transplant Centre remain closed after the discovery of mould earlier this year. The Health Board says it's working on plans to rebuild it. Maureen Dine's husband, Tony, died in that ward in 2021. He was being treated for cancer and contracted infections.
It needs to be fixed for other people and other families. I think it would be a great legacy to those lives that have been lost within the hospital.
NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde now admit that some patient infections probably did come from faults with this building, but they say they actively manage safety every day with thorough testing of the water and the ventilation systems. The board also say that they didn't get the hospital that they paid for, and they're embroiled in legal action with the building contractors.
You must show us that you're being open, honest and transparent. That's the only way that we're going to have confidence. Vague statements saying that it's compliant and it's safe actually increase our anxiety.
It will be for the public inquiry to determine whether the Queen Elizabeth does provide a safe environment for care. It's likely to be several months before a final report is published. Lisa Summers reporting Scotland, Glasgow.
Right, let's head back to Tynecastle now for tonight's sport with Sheila. And the weather has improved for you, Sheila.
A little bit. It's still a wee bit rainy, but not too bad. But what a night we could have in store here at Tynecastle. Hearts on the brink of history, looking to become Scottish champions for the first time in 66 years. Well, Celtic, well, they'll be looking to keep this title race going just a little bit longer. Let's have a look at the state of play. Hearts are 1 point ahead of Celtic at the top of the table, where they've been for most of the season. That means a win for them here against Falkirk tonight, combined with defeat for Celtic against Motherwell, means they will win the league tonight. Anything else and it rolls on to a final day showdown at Celtic Park. So it couldn't be much bigger for Hearts. Let's hear from the camp.
There will be nerves, it's totally normal. When you're in this position, there's going to be nerves for everybody. You're a human being after all, and when you get this close to achieving something great, it's only normal to have them. It's just about controlling them, but throughout the season we've dealt with that really well.
Obviously, as expectations rise, and we've been top of the league now for a while, people talk about mentality and how they cope, but I think the facts show we're coping brilliantly. You know, the fact that we've got Champions League qualification already secured, but obviously we want to try and go one better now and win the league.
So a big game here tonight. There's also a big game at Fir Park, which will have a huge say in the destination of the Premiership trophy. And Kenny Crawford is there for us. Kenny, so much at stake in both games.
There is, and the weather's a bit changeable through here in Motherwell, Sheila, but things are building up nicely all the same. Celtic have won 13 of the last 14 Scottish top-flight titles, and despite a turbulent season in several ways so far this season, they still fully believe that they can add another Premiership trophy to their haul. With 6 wins from their last 6 matches, they appear to be building momentum at just the right time, and Daizen Maida's goal against Rangers, that spectacular strike, has added more fuel to their fire. What an amazing achievement it would be for Martin O'Neill if he was to guide his team to the title. The 74-year-old brought in to salvage the season. The Northern Irishman has won the league with Celtic 3 times before, most recently in 2004. But bear in mind, Motherwell, they've been a tricky and impressive opponent for many this season. They're still trying to seal 4th spot, and they beat Celtic here back in December. So it promises to be fascinating here and fascinating with you as well, Sheila, at Tynecastle.
Thanks, Kenny. Yes, lots to keep tabs on, and I'm sure the crowd here will let the players know exactly what is happening at Motherwell. Well, earlier I caught up with Hearts legend Gary Mackay and asked him how the nerves were holding up.
And not too bad. I mean, I'm just looking forward to it. I mean, Hearts have put themselves in a position where it's up to them, and what they do will determine who wins the Scottish Premier League.
At what point in the season did you start to believe it would come to this night?
Well, I think the way Derek started out with the squad at the start of the season, the camaraderie, the togetherness, and the amount of games that they were coming back and making defeats into wins. And when you get a team like that, then you know you've got a real chance.
You were part of the team 40 years ago that came so close. How much would it mean to get over the line this time and banish those memories?
It just means getting over the line. I'm not sure if I want to banish any memories. You know, I loved the time that I played at the football club. It wasn't nice not getting over the line, as you say, but right now it's a different era and it's a different Hearts team, and Derek McInnes hopefully will be the man that will get them to where we want them to be.
What is it about him and what he's done in this past season?
I think just his man management skills, you know. I think we've probably got a bigger squad than he would maybe like, but he's handled them so well. I think Blair Spittle probably typifies that. last 3 games, he's not started prior to that. He's scored at Easter Road, he's done really well against Rangers and had another outstanding performance against Motherwell.
Your priority is obviously 3 points here tonight. Will you be keeping an eye on what's happening, or an ear on what's happening at Fir Park?
I think everybody I think the stadium will tell us how the games are going elsewhere, but all we can really do is affect our own results, and that starts with getting a victory against Falkirk.
Well, it's starting to get a little bit busier here, but it's certainly busier in the pubs. I think the rain's keeping them there for a little bit longer. But we've been out speaking to some fans who've come from far and wide to find out exactly how they're feeling about tonight.
Excited and nervous. Nothing's being taken for granted, but I can dream.
I've come from Boston. I'm from Edinburgh. I've been a Hearts fan my whole life, and you know, it's just the chance to be here and potentially do it, experience the atmosphere, be with loved ones. Yeah, it's going to happen tonight.
I'd like to rest knowing that we finally won the league in my lifetime, and then once we've done that, I don't care after that. We could finish 3rd every season or even 6th, I'm not bothered.
Well, that's it from a rainy Tynecastle. It's been an incredible season so far, and it's going to be a fascinating evening in store, which will end either with Hearts as champions or all set up for a final day decider.
Very exciting. Sheila Kenny and team, thank you very much indeed. Well, someone very well versed in high stakes matches is Sir Andy Murray. The retired Wimbledon champion and Olympian was in Glasgow visiting a new food hub run by Coronation Food Project as part of his work as a potato ambassador. But sport was also on the menu, and despite being a lifelong Hibs fan, Andy says a title win for Hearts would be good for Scottish football. But he started by telling Suzanne Allen what he'd learned from volunteers at the hub about the people they work with who don't have access to fresh, healthy food.
It's a growing problem, but the work that they're doing is having, you know, a serious impact. You know, it was something that I learned today is the amount that, you know, of different communities and different people that they can influence and help with this sort of work, which, you know, without it be very challenging for many families and many people around the countries.
We can see that, you know, you're a dab hand with a potato peeler. Do you do much cooking at home? Do you cook with your kids?
I probably wouldn't call it cooking. You can use a toaster and
you can peel a potato.
I can. I learned that today, that I was quite good at peeling potatoes.
It'll be neat and tidy when I'm finished.
I know my cooking is very average and something I would actually like to get better at.
You said a couple of months ago that you were quite happy if Hearts won the league. I mean, have you had much flack from Hibs fans for saying that?
Well, a few of my friends that are Hibs fans have questioned me on it, and I would say it's quite split between my friends that are Hibs fans, to be honest. It's going to be an interesting final few weeks now with the results over the weekend, but. Yeah, I still stand by what I said. If it was going to be Celtic or Rangers that were going to win this league, I don't think you'd be asking me that question. So I think there's a lot more interest in Scottish football than there has been in quite a long time.
Who's going to win, Hearts or Celtic?
I think it's going to be Celtic now, to be honest. I thought Hearts a few weeks ago, but yeah, I think it's going to be Celtic.
One last thing, sorry, how's the golf going?
I'm actually injured just now.
Oh, no.
From playing too much golf. I haven't learned my lesson
Okay,
from my
fair
tennis
enough.
career, where I just, you know, played too much tennis.
You'll just have to stick to peeling potatoes then, won't he? Now, we haven't shown you a walrus in a few days, but good news, Magnus the walrus, who was cruising the Scottish coastline, has reappeared, this time on the other side of the North Sea. People have been sharing photographs of him taking it easy more than 300 miles away in Norway. He was first spotted in the Orkney island of Stronsay last month. He then appeared in Lossiemouth, Macduff, Fraserburgh, Finecty and Hopeman. And just before we go, it's been confirmed that Two Doors Down is returning for another series. Cast members thought the show was over after the last full season, which aired in November 2023. But another season is set to pick up where December's Christmas special left off. Right, time now for a look at the weather with Christopher. Quite a changeable day. I got caught in the showers. We saw poor Chris McLaughlin there getting absolutely drenched at Tynecastle. How is the rest of the week shaping up?
More showers tomorrow. Something a little bit drier on Friday, but still quite cool, actually.
Yeah.
It's been a cool couple of weeks, hasn't it? Some snow on the tops of the mountains, as captured by one of our weather watchers there. But yeah, that cool, showery theme sticking with us. Drier on Friday, and then a mixed bag through the weekend. Next week, though, something warmer.
Well, listen, I was getting made fun of for wearing a polo neck earlier, so something warmer would be very nice.
Thanks very much indeed. Very good evening to you. Yes, we've had a real mix of conditions across the country once again today. Some pretty hefty showers, some hail and thunder in the mix. This is the satellite and radar from early. You can see a rash of showers working their way across the country, flashes of lightning there, and some hail as well. Expertly captured as ever by our weather watchers. Thanks for all your pictures that you've sent in today. Through the course of this evening, those showers still with us, coming in on those northerly winds. And as we head through towards the early hours, something a little bit drier through the central belt and the south, but the showers holding on further north. Temperatures overnight, 3 to 5 Celsius for many towns and cities. To tomorrow, low pressure with us once again, so weather fronts and troughs working their way southwards, northerly winds once again, so it's cool and showery. But we start the day on a dry note through central and southern Scotland, showers further north, and through the day those showers will work their way southwards. So like today, you are likely to see a few hefty showers as we head through the course of Thursday, the odd rumble of thunder in the mix at times as well. Here's a snapshot mid-afternoon. In between the showers, something bright and dry with some sunshine, but the showers will rattle through at times. 12 to 14 Celsius in the southwest. Elsewhere, it will be cooler. And still a brisk breeze around the northwest coast through the Minches, and a windier day to come across Orkney and Shetland compared with today too. And then tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, still a number of showers around, but we start to see a change because as we go through towards Friday, a little ridge of high pressure just working its way in, and that means Friday should be drier and brighter, but not necessarily warmer. This is the picture then on Friday, still cloudy, windy and showery in Shetland, but elsewhere drier with some sunshine. But once again, the wind's coming from the north, so it's below average temperatures for the time of year, around 9 to 14 Celsius. That takes us to the weekend, and then on Saturday it's mostly dry but fairly cloudy, some rain later. On Sunday, some bright spells and some showers. Next week, hopefully warmer. That's the forecast for now.
It's a lot riding on that, hopefully. Thank you, Christopher. Now tonight's main news again. Keir Starmer could face a leadership challenge as soon as tomorrow, as West Streeting's allies say they expect him to resign from cabinet. Safety expert says the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow should be risk assessed following water contamination problems. The Health Board insists the hospital is now wholly safe. And Hearts could make history tonight by becoming the first non-Old Firm team to lift the league title in 40 years. They kick off against Falkirk at 8 o'clock. And that's where we leave you. Andrew Black will be here with your late news at around 10:30 tonight. Until then, from all the team, enjoy your evening and thank you for joining us.